Brennan Johnson obviously got a brace on Saturday. He's now our top goal scorer in the league. He's our top goal scorer in all competitions. 14 goals in all competitions, 9 Premier League goals. But still, obviously, still comes up for a lot of criticism. Still, people say he doesn't do enough. He doesn't do enough in the overall games. Still, as well, 23 years of age. For you, Josh, when you think about Brennan Johnson and kind of his role in the team, what he provides, do you see? Oh wow, he scores loads of goals. That's the hardest thing to do in football is score, put the ball in the back of the net. You know, he gets in those positions so frequently. That's such a great asset. Or are you like other fans where you look at his overall performances, you see maybe a lack of kind of influence on the game, let's say, doesn't really impact the game a lot apart from when he's putting the ball in the back of the net, and is that sometimes he can be a bit of a passenger, I guess, on the pitch, and is he too much of a liability when he's playing like that to justify the goals he does score?
So Brennan Johnson, with him, it's been like a wild ride, my opinion on him, because like I was always defending him at the start when people were saying, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And I was saying, look, he's not that type of player. Like, you wouldn't ask Sonny to, I don't know, be a creative midfielder or whatever, even though he's been creating a lot recently. And what it is with Johnson is I feel like Johnson is a brilliant player to have in your squad. What you want to do is, if you want to be successful and have a successful squad, you want to have different profiles, different horses for courses. You don't need everyone to be a dribbly winger like that can dribble and create. Sometimes you need that person to just ghost into the box and finish chances and be a real goal and assist machine, even if they don't offer much in open play. Son went seasons where he wasn't doing too much in open play, but he was scoring and assisting all the time. And that's fine. Johnson is that guy, and I don't want us to sell him or any. I would sell him if, the perfect player came up or whatever. But long story short, I'm happy for Johnson to stay, and I'm happy with what he's done, and I rate him, and I'm happy. But in a lot of games, Johnson is not the answer. The reason that people get frustrated with Johnson is because he is the senior right winger, and he's not good against low blocks. He's not poor technically. I don't know what the word for it is. He always wants to give the ball away, like as in not give the ball away to the opposition.
He
but
keeps away cheaply.
Yeah. He treats the ball like a hot potato. He's always passing it back. Always, do you know what I mean? And he wants the perfect pass in behind before he does anything. He can't do anything to a low block. But he's our most clinical player. He's overtaken Sonny as our most clinical player. Do you know what I mean? So that you can't buy. You can't teach that. You can't teach someone to just be cold as ice in the moment. And I trust Johnson now more than anyone else, to be honest. So the answer is we need to get better players around him. If Johnson is playing, our left winger has to be someone who is dribbling and creative. So you've got balance in the first 11. You've got someone who is a runner, and you've got someone who dribbles and creates. And we should bring in a right winger that is very different to Johnson, that dribbles and creates, so that if Son's still here, he can be the runner, because that's what he used to be best at. And I feel like, it's just, I do feel sorry for Johnson, because a lot of the criticism put towards him is correct. Like what they're saying is right. But at the same time, he has skills that no one else has in this squad. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, I suppose.
But it's weird how these conversations come about, because, if another player had, let's say he was playing for an opposition team, like obviously because we're not watching them every week, we don't know the minutiae of everyone's performance, right? But let's say he was like a Newcastle winger or something, and he was getting the amount of goals Johnson was scoring, we would say, oh, what a player, look how many goals he scores. But because obviously we're watching him every week, we kind of drill into the detail. But like, he's on 14 goals, he can get 20 goals this season. Like, Ben, if I told you, beginning of the season, Johnson's going to get 20 goals, you'd be like, wow, I don't like that's amazing. I don't really like you wouldn't really care about what else he does. You'd say, wow, he's got 20 goals. But when watching him week in week out, is that enough for you?
I think that Johnson deserves a hell of a lot of credit for what he has done in the Spurs shirt. Like 9 Premier League goals, 14 altogether, cannot be sniffed at by any stretch of the imagination. I think for what he does, in terms of what Josh was talking about, ghosting into the box, arriving at that back post and just putting the ball in the back of the net, I just think he's elite at that facet of the game. I just think the rest of the rest of his game is fairly poor, but look, I think Josh was spot on is what he's saying. You know, he's a great player to have around in the squad, but we need someone better to compete with him. We need someone that is more suited to the system to go and compete with him, someone that can take on his man, that can impact the game. Like what we've seen Odegaard do in the small cameos that he's had in the last couple of games. You know, he comes on the ball, he takes on his man, and he tries to get the ball into the box. So I think we need kind of both kind of players on both sides. But yeah, I mean, I look at the narrative surrounding Brennan Johnson from opposition fans, and I think a lot of them just think he's not great, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But you've got like two sides of the spectrum. You've got people like Johnson who maybe don't offer too much in general play, but are just super effective in when it comes to getting like goals and goal contributions. But then, you know, what you're describing could be someone like Jeremy Doku who does is like a bit the opposite. He gets in he impacts the game a lot, but sometimes he's really not effective in the final third. So it's kind
That's
of
why
like
you need a bit of everything. That's why you need a bit of everything.
But what I'm saying is like with the amount of goals he gets, Johnson, like is that not enough of a goal contributor to be in our starting 11, like our best right winger when it comes to that kind of level of goals? Is that just not enough?
But again, it brings you to the question of we need a squad, and we need him part of the squad. And part of the squad means he starts some games where he's suited to, and then some other games he sits out and sits on the bench when we need someone to really take on the man at fullback. So
I agree with that.
So I think Johnson's a brilliant player to have in the squad, and the goal tally suggests that and backs that up. But you need someone better than him to come and compete with him, because he's not just our senior right winger, but he's our only right winger.
Yeah, and I think
he wasn't even meant to be a right winger, was he? Originally, do you remember we started playing him on the left?
Yeah,
when he first came, that's true. And I think that's fair, and I think that's probably where a lot of the frustration comes from, where it's kind of Brennan, or we're kind of shoehorning Decky there, or we're shoehorning Odegaard there, where he doesn't look as comfortable on the right as well. So I think that's where a lot of the criticism comes, because we don't see another alternatives when Johnson's not doing it. We don't have like someone who could be just as effective on that side of the pitch in that position, and that leads to a lot of frustration directed at Johnson, because he's not going to do it every game, and for sure he comes in and out of games. But is that just a criticism of Johnson himself, or more of a criticism of the squad, do you think?
I think it is a criticism of Johnson, because with the attributes that he has and the pace that he has, he should have the ability to get the ball and just bomb it down the right wing and get across into the box. We saw him actually do it a bit last season, like 10 assists last season, and all of them low-driven cross across the face of goal. And he hasn't done that at all this season.
But he's also doubled his goal tally.
Yeah, I know, but he should be having both strings to his bow, not just one or the other.
Yeah. That's fair, but he's still young. Maybe maybe.
No, I think he can get better. No doubt about it. He can get better. But if he kind of like merged last season's Johnson, all the good things that he was doing last season and this season, I think you have a hell of a player there.
So do you think if he's on 9 league goals at the moment? So if in terms of his league tally, in terms of your opinion on him, does it change at all if he hits certain targets in terms of goals, or does it not really matter even if he gets like 20 league goals?
What do you mean by my opinion on him? Because I'm saying he's a valuable asset to have. I think
but he can be our best. He can be going forward. You can have a good team with him as your best right winger.
Yeah, look, like I said, I think we can be a good team with him as a right winger. But regardless if he hits 20 Premier League goals,
you said no. My point being, you said we need someone better than him. I'm saying if he's our best right winger, if he's our best right winger, is that not good enough? Can we not be good enough with him as our best right winger, regardless if we bring another one?
If he evolves, yes, he can be the best right winger.
For him to hit 20 league goals, I do think he would have to be showing some sort of other qualities. Like he'd have to evolve. I don't think they can all be 20 back post tap-ins. And The thing with Brennan is that I think like a lot of what makes him good, he hasn't been able to show because Sonny has been off it for a lot of the season because he's been overplayed, and he's getting old. And naturally, Sonny isn't really like the dribbly, creative left winger. I know he's been creating chances this season, and I know that he's starting to do that a lot more. But naturally, his game is running behind. I'm the most clinical finisher in the world. That's what it was. Yeah. So we bought Odebear and we had Mikey Moore coming through, who would have been good balance for Brennan because the ball, they could have been the possession, creative, dribbly type left wingers to play with him, but we haven't been able to play either of them. Mikey Moore hasn't really, has Mikey Moore started with Brennan before, maybe in the Europa League?
Don't think so, yeah, because I think more got some more minutes once Brennan got injured, I think.
Yeah, and then Odebear hasn't been about. So I do think he will be better. He looked really good on Saturday because Sonny was playing that role really well. He played the creative dribbling left-sided forward. Brennan can be a functional, really good forward, top-class forward. He reminds me a little bit of Jota. Like, as in, I know they're very different players, but what I mean is, you know how Jota is just clinical? And he wasn't really taking much of the creative burden or anything like that. It's just, but because he had so many brilliant players around him, it didn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? Brennan can be that in a team if the rest of the players around him are taking up that burden, and he can be fine. He can be serviceable. He can get loads of goals. And I think he will play better when he's paired with Odebear or Mikey Moore and Sonny when he's in the mood. But yeah, we need that pairing to be balanced. One of them to be the runner, one of them to be the dribbler. And so, because we've got so many left-sided dribblers, I think in the summer you go and buy a right-sided dribbler, creative type player that offers different things to Brennan. Do you know what I mean?
I remember we were talking to Brains in the post-match fan show. He suggested we should start playing Brennan up front because he says all the tap-ins he gets and all the things he gets in the penalty box would suit being a striker more than a right winger. What do you think, Ben, about the possibility of that?
I think that'd be an awful idea, to be honest. I'm looking at Brennan Johnson. I'm looking at his profile. I think he would get bullied as a number 9, just like Tell was pretty much against Ipswich. I don't think more so. Yeah, maybe even more so, but I don't think he's got the physicality for it. I don't think he can hold up the ball. You look at our number 9s, like Solanke, who's been doing it to such a good level. He doesn't have any of those attributes. He's not going to drop deep. He's not going to link up the play, in my opinion. So I think he has to be a winger in this system. He's got no other option.
Yeah, I agree fully.
Yeah, I also agree. I think a lot of fans, not saying YouTube, but I do think a lot of fans don't appreciate what Brennan offers to the team, and they think just scoring tap-ins is easy, and it's like it doesn't take skill. Like anyone could do it, and like if anyone could do it, all wingers in the league would be on the same level of goals that Brennan's on, but the reality is it's hard to do, and it's about timing your runs to perfection. It's about getting ahead of your marker. It's about knowing where to be, and it's also you have to got to finish the chances consistently, and I think Brennan is doing that. And also a lot of his goals haven't just been tap-ins; they have been good finishes as well. That's a lot better finishes than last season. I also thought the second goal, for example, against Ipswich, left foot drills it low beyond the keeper. That was a pretty tidy finish. I thought from Brennan on his end goal on the weekend, and I just think the level of output he's got at the moment, and I think he's capable of getting even more. I think, we could be getting a winger who could consistently be getting 15, 20 goals a season. Those wingers don't come by often. How many wingers are getting 15, 20 goals a season? Only really the top players. And, when you look at it on that kind of aspect, I think people kind of dismiss his goal return because of maybe his lack of impact in general play, and I do think that's a fair criticism of him. But I also think people just dismiss his goal return as if like that doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't compensate for the lack of impact. Because I think when you're getting that amount of goals, it kind of in a way has to when it's getting to a certain level, And I think he's only going to start getting more goals once he kind of gets more regular game time. Once he kind of grows up a bit more. He's still very young. He's still kind of getting to his best. I don't think we've seen the best of Brennan for sure. I think he could explode even better than what he is at the moment. So I'm really happy with his goal return. I agree with what Ben's saying. We need an alternative to him because I think we're too reliant on him. I think we need someone who can come in for him on the right-hand side, who can maybe offer something different, maybe a left-footed right winger who can cut inside potentially or go both ways, let's say, on that side and really take the fullback to the sword. Because I feel like too often fullbacks get maybe too much of an easy ride when they face Brennan. I think that's fair to say. One thing I would say is that fullbacks always do have to kind of stay on their toes when Brennan's around, because you never know when he's about to get on the end of something, and he kind of he can be out of a game but then pop up out of nowhere, and you kind of always have to be always alert when he's around. But I also feel like sometimes he doesn't give his fullback too much of a tough ride. He doesn't ask too many questions of them. And when he's not getting on the end of things and he's not maybe getting a ball in behind and putting a ball across the face of goal, then he isn't impacting enough. So I think that criticism is fair, but I also think like the goal return should be acknowledged far more than it is, and I think it's really, really brilliant on his the amount of goals he does get, and that is something that we need all our players to be doing, to be honest. Imagine all our players were getting similar goals to him, like then we'd be in a better position. We'd be better.
Yeah, you're 100% spot on in that aspect, but I just don't understand why he doesn't just like knock the ball past his fullback and just go run at him, because he's got the attributes to do it. He's got the pace. You know, we've seen him do it on the rare occasion in the past. That it seems like every time he gets the ball, he just checks back and passes it inside or passes it back. Like,
And
he needs space. He needs space.
No, but have you noticed how sometimes he will, and I've seen him do this at least 3 or 4 times this season. There's a ball, a ball's played in behind, and it looks like the fullback's going to get it maybe, but it's kind of 50-50, or it looks like it might go out. He doesn't chase them down. It's really weird. I don't get it. Sometimes he slows down, and he could have got a ball, but he's just like, So that could be a confidence thing, maybe. I'm not sure, but there's so much that's frustrating about his game that like he could really be a worldie if he just took the time to improve a few basic things. Like if he had a one trick where he could beat a man even 1 out of every 3 times. Like, so let's just say he beats his man 30% of the time, he'd be world class. but he doesn't even try at the moment. Do you know what I mean? It's just like he's trying.
Yeah.
Would you rather like someone like Brennan who gets the goals he does but maybe doesn't impact the game as much, or someone like an Aaron Lennon who maybe doesn't get as many goals but he's always threatening his fullback all the time?
Tough,
that's the thing. We need both. That's the whole point. We need both.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. That is the whole point, because you have Brennan, and then let's say we go and get Tyler Dibbling or whatever, or someone else that is like
Bakayoko or something, or
Bakayoko or something like that. That's perfect, because you've got different profiles. Maybe you start with the other person who's going to affect game when it's 0-0 and all that, and then when it's later on, you've got a fully rested Brennan who's going to come on and make those runs beyond his fullback who's tired, and he doesn't have to face up and dribble him. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I think that is it for today's panel show, though. Appreciate, Josh, your time for coming on the show. Appreciate giving us your opinions. I'm sure Ange is going to turn you back. We're getting you back on board, Josh. I know it. You're going to turn it. I think we're 7 more wins in a row to convince Brains, I think. Yeah. That was what he said. 10 wins in a row. So with each week, we're counting down the wins till he's back in the Ange camp.
I know, on Wednesday, if we win, you're going to be insufferable.
Oh, my God. Surely the City, that counts as 3 wins, I think, surely, if we beat City.
We'll all be delighted if we win, but you're going to be insufferable.
I'm going to be gassed.
For me, he has to beat AZ, and then whoever comes next, Frankfurt or Ajax. If he wins if he gets us to a semi, then I'm back. Just
quick look ahead to City. Just quickly mention it. What do you feel like we'll win on Wednesday, Josh? The gods are listening.
The gods are looking down.
They're listening. They got their pads and paper there.
I'm gonna say no. No.
Are we going to lose?
Yes.
We are going to lose.
We're going to win.
Disappointing.
We're going to win on Wednesday.
That's a watching. It can be the decider. If we win, Ben's right. I have to shut up about the gods.
How many times have we proved the gods wrong, man? How many times do we have to prove them wrong?
Name them. It's only happened once or twice.
The gods sometimes give you an offering. They sometimes show you mercy. But the rule is you have to show them respect.
They give it and take it away.
Exactly.